Hello guys and welcome to the channel, it's the Eradicator, and in today's video I wanted to talk about Infinity Battlescape, the space game that you've never heard about and is actually still pretty good, and I'm gonna tell you why in today's video. So, what is Infinity Battlescape? It is a space sim combat game that has been developed by iNovi Studio for a pretty long time actually, because they've already started to show videos of their project, at least their prototype, back then in 2010 on their YouTube channel, and I remember having seen those videos back in the days because they were pretty impressive. They were showing something that I had never seen back in those days. That was 12 years ago. We were looking at flight from space all the way to a planetary surface through an atmosphere, something that was really revolutionary back then, but something that we've seen more and more nowadays with games like Elite Dangerous and of course Star Citizen. But still, I think that Infinity Battlescape is, in my opinion, the pioneer when it comes to these kinds of technologies for video games, at least space games. I can't think of anything that was released earlier that was doing something like that. But unfortunately, the sad story is that iNovi Studio is a very small studio, and so they haven't had the manpower to develop their game as fast as other much bigger studio, and this is why today the game is still in early access and comes out with lesser content, I would say, compared to some of their counterparts. Nevertheless, it doesn't mean that what is available right now in the game is not interesting. In fact, I've got the game for myself, and I gotta say that I am enjoying myself in Infinity Battlescape, and I'm going to tell you why. So, what does the game let you do? Think of a little bit PlanetSide 2, but in space. You've got access to an entire star system, and you can literally go anywhere in that star system with no loading screen. It's all in a seamless. It's all happening with seamless technology, just like Star Citizen would let you do. So that's already a very good positive. And in this game, basically, you have two factions that are fighting for the control of the map, and you have to take part in one of the factions, and there's always something happening. There's always a battle around a station or an outpost, either in space, in an asteroid field, or on the planetary surface, and it's overall a lot of fun. You have some objectives that you have to fulfill, whether you have to destroy some shield generators or capital ships, or destroy enough reinforcements to win the battle. And it's something that I've done quite a few times, and it's really working quite well. Now, there are a couple of drawbacks, obviously. Not everything is perfect with this game, and we're going to talk about it right now. The first thing is that, there are not a lot of players. Although the maps themselves, the servers themselves are designed to host hundreds, if not thousands of players, the most that I have seen were 3 players playing simultaneously, so it's not that great, but that's because the game is still in early alpha stage. It's not officially released, so maybe they haven't spent that much money communicating about the game. I think that with a little bit more publicity, there would definitely be more players joining in, but at the same time, I don't think that we necessarily need a lot of other players to be enjoying the game. I think the AI is very effective as it is right now. The AI is capable of fulfilling objectives. The AI is actually quite challenging. Most of the times when I've been killed, it was actually because of the AI that's actually quite capable, whether they are fighting some of the different ship classes that we have access to, or even some capital ships. They definitely know what they're doing, and they can also play a role in the battle, meaning that you can take chances doing whatever you want during the battle and let the AI take care of the objectives. They are capable of doing that, but that also means that you're gonna have to watch out for enemy AI because they will be fulfilling their objectives as well. So it's a double-edged sword, right? Speaking of ships, well, we have a couple of different ship classes that you have access to. You got the interceptors, which are basically your basic dogfighters. You got bombers, which are the ship of choice for fulfilling objectives, for example, doing some bombing runs on some shield generator or power generators, right? You also have the corvettes, which are larger gunships that are more useful to take down enemy starfighters, and then you also have the battle cruisers, which are going to be the big ships that will do a lot of damage against other big capital ships or even carriers. The carriers are basically your spawning point. That's where you'll be spawning from for the battlefield. Basically, if you are on the attacking side, if you're on the defending side, you'll be spawning from the local facility. Now, I would also say, there's another negative here with Infinity Battlescape, that the ships are not very memorable in terms of their design, which I find a little bit generic. So that's something that I wished maybe Innovi Studio would have spent a little bit more time on designing ships that would look a little bit more iconic and less bland, because the problem is that when I leave the game, I just don't remember how the ship looks like. It's a bit strange, right? They look like, you know, big bulky pieces of metal, and it's not that great. But at the same time, it's not really the point of the game. The point of the game is more the flight experience, experiencing the scale of the planetary system, the scale of fighting from an orbital side all the way down to a surface and vice versa. You can actually travel, as I said before, from one point of the star system to another. Let's say your battle is over, but you're not dead yet. You're going to have to travel to the next point of contention, which I think is quite interesting, and, you know, also gives you a nice little break, because you're gonna have some really high heartbeats with those battles, which are very dynamic. The flight model is very similar to what you would find in any other space combat games, so don't expect any surprises there. It's slightly different in atmosphere because of the gravity and because of the friction caused by the air. It's something that I have noticed, at least. And I would say that pretty much everything else is there as you would expect. You got 6 degrees of freedom, of course, and an interface that's quite similar to any other standards of the industry. Now, speaking of the interface, there's a little drawback here. I think that it's sometimes not always readable, especially when you're in the dogfighting, and I think that the little arrow that shows where your enemy is not always very readable. So I just wish that it was more visible to make combat a little bit easier, because very often I just lost track of wherever my main targeted enemy was, and that's a little bit unfortunate. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a game that I'm playing sometimes. Of course, my main game is Star Citizen. I'm playing a little bit of GTA 5 these days, but Infinity Battlescape is something that I do enjoy from time to time, especially when I want something a little bit fast-paced and just, you know, just want some good shootings, fancy explosions. I love the explosions in Infinity Battlescape. By the way, they look absolutely phenomenal. Great sound effect, great visual effects as well. They've really done a great job at making all of this action here transpire throughout through our screens. Overall, yeah, I would say that the graphics, although they're not on par with some of the best in the industry like Star Citizen, the graphics still look pretty decent for a game that's been under development for such a long time, and that's also something that's quite pleasing when you are playing it. Anyway, guys, these are my thoughts on Infinity Battlescape, the space sim the game that you've never heard of, and that you should definitely give it a shot. Now, I would say that the price also, I'm not so sure, right? Because it's worth $30. It's a little bit on the pricey edge here. I think that they should review their pricing policy, because there's no single player campaign. It's basically a multiplayer mode with bots. That's what it is. So for $30, that's maybe the reason why there aren't a lot of players. I think that if they lower their price to $10 to $15, maybe just push it to 20, right? There would definitely be more people, but overall, yeah, it's a little bit expensive. Anyway, guys, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please hit the like button, as it really helps the channel a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe for more gaming content. It's been the Eradicator. Have a great day. I will see you guys later.